and the two of you just had sex.
I don't kiss and tell.
I mean, I saw some superior lesbian moves earlier today. I
Did
don't know.
you?
I mean, that thing with the two hands.
Oh.
And then I'll like notice like how she eats my then typically it's the way that they actually like it.
Hey, I'm Casey Calvert.
I'm Leanna Lovings.
I'm Corey Chase.
I'm Bree Mills, and you're listening to the Adult Time Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Adult Time Podcast. This is a really special episode. I am here with the lovely Vanna Bardot and Melissa Stratton, and the two of you just had sex.
I don't kiss and tell.
And
Often.
you caused a rare thunderstorm here in LA. So we
made it rain.
We made it rain. You two, you mentioned that things got sloppy. They got so sloppy that now it is pouring outside.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. This is a great way to start the after sex session. So if the lights go out,
oh yes,
or if the audio gets compromised,
we'll
because
take our clothes off.
yeah,
I mean,
no, right, that's
naturally.
right,
yeah,
that's right. That'll be for the sequel. No, but seriously, so this is the second time we've done this, where we kind of do it a little bit in reverse than you may see on some other podcasts, right? Rather than having a conversation and then seeing what happens, we saw what happened, and now we're going to have a conversation about it. So, let's start. How are you guys feeling?
Good.
Doing great.
Nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to a spa, right?
Yeah.
Get the energy out and then you get to relax.
We had our little massage and now
Get a little endorphin rush and then
chill by the pool.
yeah.
So let's talk about the origin of this, because when I was thinking about doing this episode, I wanted to do a girl-girl version of it, because we had done one before that was a boy-girl-girl threesome, and I'm like, okay, let's just bring two girls that love to fuck, that do great scenes, but also really like each other. Yeah. And so I hadn't had you on yet, and so I hit you and your team up, and I said, who do you want to work with? And can you please explain why Vanna was your number one choice? As if it isn't obvious, but please.
I said, no, I think this was like right after her and I had worked together. And I just remember going home and be like, I adore Vanna. Like, we just had such a good time, like chit-chatting and like doing stuff. Oh, and we had collabed recently too.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the collab didn't go well. It was a boy, girl, no names. But we kind of like powered through. And I thought that was really cool because like, it's easy to be friends with people when everything's like good and easy. But I think that kind of made me be like, she's really chill and we had fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It was fun, even though with the little hiccups. So just like, it is what it is.
You two bonded.
Yeah.
That's what's important, right?
Yeah.
We trauma bond.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I mean, we've just had like good experiences being on set, and I don't know, it's when you click, it clicks. So yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you were Melissa's number one choice for?
Well, I'm very honored. I think you have become such an incredible performer. I mean, you've always have. I think the first time I worked with you was like over about a year ago now. We shot that scene. And I was already like super excited, but after shooting it, I was like, wow, she is really like, what's the right word? I don't know, like top of the cream is like all I creme de la creme.
Creme of the creme. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. No, it was fun.
Well, it was brilliant for me because when she came out as your top choice, Vanna's been on, we have a list of people that we want to have on the show, and you were on the list too. And knowing that this was going to be a lesbian scene, you've done such amazing lesbian scenes. So it was like, oh, okay, perfect. This is a perfect way to debut you both on the show.
Sweet.
Yeah. So when we finish the scene, I'd love to know what do you guys like typically after you have good sex? What's like your immediate go-to after you finished having sex? What do you like to do then? It just started raining harder.
Yeah, it's coming down.
It's definitely, I feel like this is a sign. No, I feel like after really good sex, I just want to chill. I definitely grab my phone, scroll a little bit. I don't like to cuddle. So I'm kind of like, you stay over there, I'll stay over here. And then I always reach for a zinni, if you know, you know. So
why do you not like to cuddle?
I don't know. It's just, I really like to connect with people on like a mental level.
Yeah.
So I think I need to what's the word? kind of like decompress from all that physical touch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say that because I tend to be the same way. Like, it's sort of like you have intense physical moment, and then it's sort of like, okay, I want to detach from that for a second just to like kind of
should
decompress, right?
Yeah. That's all it is.
What about you, Vanna? What is your go-to after a good sex session?
I'd say I'm definitely the opposite. I definitely like to have a cuddle and like little like pillow talk time. And yeah, I mean, unless I'm like, I don't know, just hooking up with somebody, I'm just like, ugh, like get away from me after.
Yeah.
You know, you get that like post-nut clarity and you're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you know, if I'm really into you and I like you, like I want to have a little cuddle, because then otherwise it's like almost a little bit like, I don't know, after going on such like a high that like to after just be kind of like get coldness. I'm like, oh, like what did I do?
Yeah. You want to be able to kind of keep the good vibes.
I need
going,
to ease out of it.
Yeah. What would you say turns you on the most about each other?
Oh, well, okay, she's gorgeous, number one. And like when I'm attracted to women, I like when they have kind of like a similar like look or style to me. I know that's probably really weird, but I like
no, it's very popular.
There's something about Vanna that's very like comfortable and familiar and very attractive. So that's like easy. But she's also like one of the nicest people I've ever met. So I think that's why too. I like being around you. So of course I like having sex with you too. Like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I find the most attractive about you is, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's like definitely your energy. Like you're such a, I mean, just like initially like meeting, you're such a like well put together like person. But like, I think it's really like you're so confident and you're not shy. You don't beat around the bush. And that's something I really admire. And I'm like very attracted to, because I can be kind of shy. So like, I love like another person, or especially like a woman who is.
People think you're rude because you are very shy.
Yeah.
It was so funny when I met you. You are not like rude or like turned off at all.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh wait, no. And I love like a nice surprise about something. When somebody surprises you, like for the better.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because so oftentimes, right, like in our industry, it's very interesting because we're such a small community, especially people that work regularly. But, you know, like it's one of those, I don't want to say frenemy cultures, but everybody is sort of kind of compared against each other. There's like, you know, like there's an opportunity for things to swing in a competitive direction, right? So it's always you meet people and you've maybe like heard things about them, or you've only just seen pictures, or you see them doing XYZ, and then you meet them and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest person, right? And so it's always, you know, it's always nice. Like I find the more people that I can meet and get to know, the fewer and fewer people that end up I see and you know, I know people, so I know what they're actually like, right? Yeah, and it is I think especially, I don't know how you feel, because obviously you all do scenes with both guys and girls, but do you feel that like having that kind of mental, emotional like connection with a woman, is that different than when you're connecting with a scene partner who's a guy, or like, is it the same kind of, you're looking for that mental connection either way?
Yeah, no, I think I'm also attracted to women that I kind of define as like girls. So meaning like if I had like a hair in my face, like would you move it? And I think when you watch our scenes, you can see us like picking a fuzz off of each other, like moving, I think, or like today you had like makeup somehow on your forehead.
Oh, I felt that. I was like, what is she doing?
I reached down and went like, so, but she does that for me. And so I feel like I know she has my back when we do a scene like that. 'Cause like today we got to have fun, but sometimes we really have to perform and make sure we both really look good. I sometimes I feel like with male performers, it's a little bit more, it's different. You're not quite on the same team. Like you're kind of, I don't know. It's totally a different dynamic.
Yeah.
I would say for me, it's definitely easier with girls. Like I typically like any girl I do a scene with, like I can, you know, find something that we can, you know, touch on, or I don't know. But with guys, it's definitely like a very different thing. I think, especially like when you're in the position where you're being like penetrated by somebody like that, it's, I'm much more picky with guys, because it's just, it's just such a different experience. And like, if I don't if I'm not attracted to you and I don't like you, or it's just, then I'm just like, no. But girls, honestly, I'm like, it takes a lot for me to be like, no, I can't work with her.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can be like a total cunt and I'd be still like, let's do it. But
Noted.
Then it just becomes like a challenge, right? Like,
yeah. Then I'm like, okay, like,
exactly.
let's go.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's a lot of there's like especially in girl scenes, like there's the girls who actually like girls, and then the girls that are more like the gay for pay girls. How do you? I would trust that you're both in the category of girls who like girls, having just witnessed what I witnessed. How do you kind of navigate when you get on set? And obviously everybody's here to do a scene and it's always a performance, to a degree. But how do you navigate when, you're in a situation where, your partner might not it might be more on the gay for pay side?
You just navigate. You just honestly, I feel like I have to kind of take the wheel. Yeah. And I used to joke like, oh, I'm more dominant with women and I'm submissive with men. But I feel like that was just a product of being on set with girls that didn't know what they were doing or didn't really enjoy what they were doing. I was like, okay, let's make this as enjoyable as we can for both of us. I'm gonna help you out. And yeah, that's not my favorite way to perform, but it works. I'm always one to be a team player. So it's okay.
Yeah, I would say when I'm on set with somebody that I can tell like isn't super gay in any sense, it really depends on like what kind of performer they are, because there's some girls who are like, okay, like I'm here to perform and like we're gonna do a great scene together, and I can tell them like maybe they're not really into girls, maybe they're just not into me, but like that's fine. We're here to perform in a scene. And I think when it's like that, it's one thing. It's definitely another thing when you can really feel their energy. They're like, oh, I really don't want to be here, but they feel like they have to shoot girl because it's like, it's so easy and everybody does it. Then it feels kind of like almost like crossing a boundary of like, well, I feel like this isn't almost consentful in a way, and I don't want to be a part of that. So it really depends on the performer.
And when you encounter those situations, right, when you're sort of feeling like, like yes, we all signed up to do this thing, but I'm not sure if their heart's in the right place. Yeah. What's your usual kind of go-to? Do you check in? Is that a time where you're going to go to the producer or the director and be like, hey, or like, how do you kind of navigate when that happens, right?
I always want to save a scene. It's like, we're already there. Obviously you wouldn't have shown up if you didn't want to be here. So I feel like for me, it's like that check-in. It's like just talking and being like, well, we're going to have fun. Yeah. This is going to be fun. What's your experience level if they're, because I had a girl say to me right before we started, she was like, I've never been with a girl before. And then it was like, action.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. I suddenly feel super responsible.
Yeah. So just being like, hey, I don't care what your experience level is. We're going to have a good time. Yeah. Obviously you go over yeses and nos, do's and don'ts. And I think that kind of helps too. Yeah. To see like what they're into. But yeah, just check in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, checking in. And then I think just taking things like as gently as possible. You just feel people's energy. You can feel if they're the kind who's like wants to go try a bunch of different things and go crazy. Yeah. And then you can feel when somebody's like, like this is not my thing. And
when you have to like,
in that case, I'm like,
right here, there you go.
And in that case, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna like try to make this look good and
make them feel comfortable. But it's
salvage it. But I'm like, I'm not gonna try and push you to, do something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
So the two of you, my favorite takeaway from today in what we talked about before the scene and during our own consent meeting when we were kind of going through stuff was I just wanted you all to like be your authentic selves and have fun. Do whatever you want to do, no restrictions. We talked right before we rolled about like, you know what, if you laugh. If you want to like chat, if you want to take a break and cuddle, like do whatever you want to do. Yeah. The amount of times where you all like cracked up,
we giggled.
Was so sweet. I loved that. Yeah. And to me, like those authentic moments are often missing from a lot of girl content. Yeah. So it was like a joy to watch the two of you just really being yourselves with each other. Yeah. And like, I'd love to, as much as little editing as we're going to do to put the scene out. That's
leave
what we want to put out. Yeah.
I think sometimes with a girl scene, there's a lot of pressure to be really hot. Yeah. Like really hot. And I remember one time a director told me, fuck her like a man. And I was like, but I don't want to. That's not, So like today was really fun because I got to fuck her like a girl and we just like had fun doing it,
Yeah, and I think we're both like very feminine too. So I think, I don't know, typically like I wouldn't be so giggly during a scene or just like joking or like I accidentally like kicked her and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
But I typically like wouldn't be like pointing those out or, I'd try to make things a little bit more like smooth or elegant. But I'm like, this is one of the few like chances you get to just like, just be
see
real and like silly and
Well, and I think people that like watching women together, like part of the draw and the attraction is seeing that genuine chemistry and connection. And that gets lost when it's, when it's too poised, when it's too perfect, when it's too elegant. So, I love the fact you picked lint off of each other and, laughing and kicking, because like when you actually have sex in real life, like there's all kinds of ridiculous moments, like strange sounds, like, all kinds of things. So I read, or rather my team, Vanna, so you can tell us if this is a true fact.
Yeah.
My team did some research and they said that if our research is correct, you lost your virginity to a girl.
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
So so me too. So what are your go-to moves in like a girl sort of sexual scenario?
I guess, I don't know, just taking things like, I like to really like draw things out, especially if it's a scene. I think if it's like just a hookup, it depends on kind of like the energy of where we're at. But I don't know, one thing I do find interesting is I think sometimes we have a habit, because with girls it's such a different experience because like we have the same anatomy, like but still like we could like completely different things. And sometimes I'll like, we'll go out down on each other once and then I'll like notice like how she eats my physique, because then typically it's the way that they actually like it. So I try to pay attention to that. This way it can like,
You definitely give yourself away for sure, like with women, because you're like, you do it and then you're like, oh wait, if I did it like she did it to me, and then you get that reaction, or like your reaction, and I'm like, oh, there it is, got it. So it's like fun to learn.
It's like you go in rounds, right? Like so you get first round, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna come back straight. Now you went, now I'm gonna go again.
But I wouldn't say I have like a, I don't know, like a go-to.
No superior lesbian moves.
I
mean, I saw some superior lesbian moves earlier today. I don't know. I mean, that thing with the two hands.
Oh.
The two-hand thing?
I like that.
I don't even think I can demonstrate it.
I like that one.
And be safe for work, but
that was you.
Yeah,
that was you too.
Yeah, that was a superior lesbian move. Yeah, you were doing like the double hand.
That was
perfectly framed. Yeah. Do you have any what are your like pro lesbian scene tips? What are your go-to moves?
I don't know. This is me just like across the board sexually. Is that I like the little things. So I really like to touch my partner. I like to grab her hips, grab her waist, lick your neck. Like, so I feel like sometimes girls in scenes like, what are you doing? Like, just go down on me. And I'm like, no, I want to take my time. I want to feel you. Like, and then I think sometimes that helps you get out of your head a little bit more.
Yeah.
When you kind of slow down and kind of like, instead of just going straight to her pussy, which I feel like a lot of porn is just like straight there. It's like, let's make out a little bit. Let's like enjoy each other, because I like women. Like, I like all of you, not just that part.
Yeah. Well, and we also were talking about like you never see enough kissing in lesbian scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all did some good kissing.
I think that's a big difference too, though, with like porn in general is very geared towards men, and for men it's all about the visual of like, what is happening in the vagina.
Yeah.
And whereas I feel like a lot more of like porn that's filmed by women and directed by women is a lot more of like, I don't know, the experience that the performers are having, rather than just be this very like graphic, view.
That's always hard too. And like when a fan like watches a bunch of my scenes, or I had this guy ask me out, he'd watched a bunch of my scenes, and then when we went to have sex, he was like, where's what I saw? And I was like, oh, nope, that's not how we start out, or, so it's,
well, and that's an interesting, something that I find really interesting. And I had like I remember my wife was a performer. And so when I met her, even though, you know, we were both working in the same industry, when we started to date, it didn't take long, but there had to be a kind of conscious, like I had to make a conscious, like, oh yes, you as you is not the same as you as this persona.
True.
And yes, it may be, they may be shades of the same person, or like there's there's common traits, but it's not. And I think that's something that people don't realize, because you see this image and you see this like hypersexual image, like always wanted to do it and all of this stuff. And then you meet the person's like, no, I'm tired, you know? And you're like, oh yes, because that's not real.
No reverse cowgirl today.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But that's not to discount that we aren't being ourselves on set.
Of course,
it's just a very exaggerated version.
Yeah.
You know, I like the performance aspect. I like the attention, and I do that in my personal life sometimes, but not every single time like you see.
Yeah, not
on
24/7
Exactly.
all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's even being able to like talk about that, I think is an interesting way for people that are watching like very genuinely to, you know, have an appreciation of like, oh yes, it is part of you, but it's not like it's not the only
it's
part
just a little
all the time.
It is genuine, but like I think it's funny because people will ask like Cody and I, they think, oh my God, like these two top porn stars, they must have the craziest fucking sex at home. And it's like, no, it's a lot of spoon. A lot of very comfortable.
Yeah, it's on a bed,
under a
in
blanket.
the dark. You know, like really tired.
After a long day of like doing, you know, crazy positions, you're like, I just want to chill.
Yeah. Well,
I want to feel good, but I want to be chill.
Well, I think like whenever I have somebody on set and they get to have sex in a bed, they're like, oh, thank God. Like, oh, thank you.
Not a kitchen table or a desk.
Not in a washing machine, not outside in like the freezing
standing
cold.
In the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
You were a sport. You were a sport. It looked great.
It did, yeah.
Things look great that are not always the most comfortable. But you guys you mentioned shot a number of times before. Do you find in the dynamic that you have, one of you is a little bit more, one is topping more than the other, or do you kind of like, what would you describe your sort of sexual dynamic together, or does it really depend on the scene?
I wouldn't say either one of us is like more of a top than another. I think we both like to really like just give back and forth.
Yeah.
Which is like typically how I would consider myself, just like with girls in general. Depend, like sometimes I might be more dominant, sometimes I might be more submissive, but in general, I think it's just like playing with that energy and, you know.
Yeah, totally. And I think it was really cute because there was a moment too where like I went to do something when she went to do something. And it was like, I was trying to take your panties off and like you took them off. And I was like, oh, wait, oh, okay. Because like that happens too, where like I just always assume because I'm a little bit like bigger than you and a little older, I'm like, I'll be the dominant one. But that's not always how it works out.
Well, and that's how I'm used to it too. Like I don't know, as I've gotten through my career, I've definitely taken like more of a dominant approach to a lot of girl scenes, especially if they're newer, because I'm like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. And I also like to like be the person like kind of in charge of the energy of the scene. So yeah, I think we both
today were like, all right, I got this. And then I was like, oh wait, no, you've got it. Oh wait, no, I got it. Okay, you got it. Like
we got it.
Yeah. Collectively, you're like a good duo.
Yeah.
Like two alphas.
Camp Conversion. It's ran by 3 women. Victoria, the dictator.
I am not a lesbo. I am not a lesbo.
Marcy, the enforcer.
You think you're special? You think you're different than the rest of them?
And Lynn, the manipulator. She's whoever she wants to be, whenever she wants to be.
Suck it. You don't want to make me angry, do you?
They call it therapy, but all it does is satisfy their twisted fantasies.
You've been spying on me?
Punishment is their way of control.
We're nothing but vessels in training.
This is insane.
And they don't stop until you break.
Strip them. You're here because you get off on it.
They have no right to keep any of us here. And I'm going to bring them all down.
I love you, Jenna.
I love you too.
So switching gears a little bit, speaking about each of your careers, right? So you both have had really, in some ways, similar career trajectories, but also coming from very different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, Melissa, you grew up in Utah. In a pretty, let's say, sexually repressed background. And Vanna, you had kind of the polar opposite, right? Where you're like Miami, growing up, a lot more, open-minded and stuff. So how do you feel each, like, kind of growing up in your respective environments ended up informing or influencing ultimately the careers you've had and the personas that you have created?
I think my upbringing sparked a lot of curiosity, and I didn't have like any type of outlet for it. So obviously it went like extreme, where I was like, oh, if I'm going to do this stuff, I need to do it, on camera. And that's not necessarily everybody's journey, but that was mine. And it was actually a very safe space for me to do that. And then I also, when I was like kind of leaving the values that I had kind of grown up with, I was in a total like fuck it mood. And I was like, what's the craziest shit I can do? And I got lucky because I had a great time doing that, and I'm still here. But yeah, it definitely influenced me for sure.
I'm pretty fascinated by Mormon,
and
like the conservative sex culture.
Yeah.
Whew.
There's so many ex-Mormons in porn.
Well, and that's it.
So
Just
many.
so high.
That's it.
I thought I was going to be this like anomaly.
Oh,
and
no.
then this girl's like, no, I'm from Salt Lake. I did that. And I was like, wait, am I amongst my peers?
No, you are. You are.
Yeah.
I have a list of documentaries I would like to make at one point.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and one of them would really be to just like examine Mormon sex culture, because there's such an obsession, especially like, kind of coming of age and like the whole kind of, like all those BYU TikTok videos and all of the, what do they call it? The lust busting and the soaking and all of this stuff.
It's wild.
So it's wild, and it's clearly something that really is a big part of kind of like college age years as a young Mormon adult. But then like doing a documentary through the lens of so many people who have grown up Mormon and have ended up working in sex work.
Yeah, I'll help you produce that.
Okay, cool. Good.
Because I got you. I got real world experience in that. And
yeah.
the funny part is, and unfortunately the sad part is, a lot of my sex education came from the church in a backhanded way. They were telling me things I shouldn't be doing, but I didn't know what those were. So then I would go research it, and then I would know, and then I would do it. And then I'd be like, well, if they hadn't told me, I might have learned about this in a healthier way. So start there.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then you, I take it, did not grow up with soaking and lust busting.
No repression at all. I mean, Miami is already a very sexual place to begin with, but my parents are very European. Like my mom was French Swiss and my dad is Brazilian Italian. So both already very sexual cultures to begin with. And they just always were there was never any shame surrounding talking about sex growing up. I remember I think I was 10, my mom sat me down to talk about sex, and I already knew what it was because I had too much time on the family computer and was already watching a bunch of things I probably shouldn't have at that age, but it is what it is. But she sat me down to like watch an Oprah episode where Oprah was with a mom and daughter, and they were giving the sex talk to the daughter on Oprah. And I'm like, that's traumatizing.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Let me tell you about trauma.
to have your mom give you the sex talk with Oprah on TV, I don't know about that. But it always was a very like open dialogue about it. My mom was always like, whatever questions you have, like, tell me. She's like, as soon as, like, started like getting into high school, like, just bought a box of condoms and was like, there, just have it. She was very much like, I don't know, the mom and Mean Girls. And she was like, I'd rather you do it in the house. And, you know, one time, this is actually a funny story. I was with my girlfriend and we were hooking up in my bedroom and I was like writing her face. And my mom walks in because we use the closet in my room as a supply closet. She walks in and I jump underneath the covers and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting something. And she grabs the thing very quickly. And as she's leaving and we're like under the covers, she like dims the light in my room. She's like, I'm setting the ambiance and then closes the door. So that's like an example of the kind of parents I had, but I feel really, really fortunate to have had that because I meet so many people who, you know, could never ever talk about those things. I remember when I came out to my mom, I was like, bye. And she's like, honey, I already know. I've seen your search history.
That was not a secret.
But yeah, I mean, the way it led me to porn though, is that like, I was always very sexual. Even like when I was young, I was very curious about my body. And, you know, I'd love going through like my mom's like underwear and her lingerie. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And like, I don't know, had a big fascination with like burlesque dancers. And then eventually I was like just fascinated by, you know, strippers and cam girls and escorts and porn stars. And I just was always like, had a fascination with all forms of like anything sexual I was interested in. So it was very natural once I turned 18 that I just went for it.
I also grew up in a very kind of open-minded house and like a kind of a queer household. And my dad would go to Europe and he'd come back with a little black book documenting all his exploits in Europe. Oh. And we'd be at the table and he'd be like, I bet you want me to open up the book and read to you. We're like, no, we don't want you to do that, Dad. No. And then he would open up a page and he'd read the first paragraph and he'd be like, do I continue? We're like, no, Dad.
I kept a journal.
Please, dear Lord, do not continue. Yeah, so I also had
cute.
Yeah. He would have turned down the lights too. So you, I believe, both started in camming, right? And then made the journey over. So what made you both decide to take the jump from live cam into performing in scenes?
Well, for me, camming was like the fastest one to just start with because like, you know, as soon as I turned 18, I could be like, just sign up online and just get started. I had a laptop. But it really wasn't my thing. Camming is definitely for a very specific type of person. Yeah. And I wish I could have been that type of person, but it just wasn't for me. And pretty quickly I was like, okay, like, this isn't for me. What do I want to do next? And I knew I always wanted to dance. I grew up as a dancer. So I was like, okay, I think this could work for me. And that's what I really stuck with until I started porn.
Yeah, that's so brave. I'm so shy, I feel, about my sexuality. So I'm a COVID hoe too. So I started during COVID because I was bored and I was curious and a ex-boyfriend had mentioned it and I was like, okay, let's just see what this is about. And so my cam journey was like very slow because I like didn't show my face and then I didn't use toys and then I kind of grew out of all of that and just went for it. And then I started going to trade shows that the cam company would go to. And I got scouted by a different porn company that was like, do you want to shoot a scene? And I was like, ew, like in front of a camera, are you crazy? Yeah. And he's like, well, that's kind of what you're doing right now. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Yeah. And so it was a couple weeks later, I shot my first scene and I was like, that was great. I loved it.
What was like the one thing like in shooting your first scene? Because I take it was a positive experience. What was like the biggest misconception you had going in to like filming a porn scene versus when you walked out?
Yeah, I think this is so random, but I'm all about like the vibe. And I remember thinking that they were gonna make me feel so awkward about being naked or having sex in front of them or whatever. They couldn't have cared less. Yeah. They could not have cared less. I think the one guy was smoking a cigarette while he's like filming it. Like he's just like, is it lunchtime yet? Yeah. And for some reason, that just totally put me at ease. Yeah. Because I was like, nobody is overanalyzing this.
Nobody's sort of creeping in the corner. Yeah.
Nobody's creeping.
It's not just a bunch of people on set like jacking off.
Right. You know? Nothing like that. And so I think that was like, wait a second. Like this is, again, I felt very amongst my peers in that situation. So,
yeah. I think the truth about like the behind the scenes on on most all porn sets is you've got a bunch of crew members that are like geeking out way more over like who brought in like the latest lens kit or like the gear than ever any of the naked people on the set, you know?
Seen it a million times.
Look at the hair light on her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're like, wow. I'm like, do I look good? They're like, the light.
Well, I once did this scene. I once did this scene with for like a movie that I did with Angela White. And I think it was actually a scene that she was doing with Cody. It was for our Perspective movie. And I was really obsessed with color theory for that movie. And so we had spent hours, you know, gelling all the windows, and it was like this green scene. And after the scene was done, it was a very high energy scene. After the scene, so I was like, oh my God, it was so good. And you know, I think they were like, oh, thank you. I'm like, no, the green, it looks so amazing. And Ashley's like, you know, we were in the scene too, like, but the green.
Yeah, we know the feeling.
Yeah, she like teased me about that for years. So you mentioned doing dance. You also did dance, right?
Yeah, we both took ballet when we were younger. Or, like,
look at the similarities. Yeah,
you were much more advanced
you are
than me,
twins.
No, but like definitely like, you know, ballet is not something you just like do for fun if you're going to call yourself a ballerina. So yeah, I did it my entire childhood. I took a little break in college, decided that was a bad idea, went back to it, and then danced professionally for a while. So yeah, and it's funny, I always joke that was 20 pounds ago because you literally wouldn't recognize me. It was like I was fully committed to that.
Yeah.
And it was really fun, but I don't miss it at all. I love watching it, but I don't miss the amount of like dedication it took to do that.
Yeah. Well, and but it must, being dancers or like having dance in both of your backgrounds, have you found that has been helpful in terms of just like body awareness in modeling and in performance?
Yeah.
I think we were just talking earlier today about like how like the mind-body connection, it really does come through like doing this kind of work, especially like, you know, as the women in the scenes. It's like, you know, you are striving to be beautiful and like make everything look beautiful. And I think when you already have an understanding of like the lines of your body and like, you know, how not to make your foot look weird and like having your ankles
always
pointed. And
your toes.
I think that was an extremely, extremely helpful thing because I didn't know quite how to be sexy when I got in. That was still something I really learned like once I started doing this for about a year or so. But I did know how to at least like kind of
move.
Yeah.
It's always kind of cute to me when somebody like does something or like flexes their foot and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's ballet training.
Yeah.
It's
not no biscuits.
Yeah. What one of the things that, you know, I would wish for within our industry, and I think, you know, like we've got so many kind of really good mentors and influencers within the community now. If there was some advice that you could give to somebody coming in based on what you learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly of coming into the industry and building successful careers, what advice would you give?
Ooh, it's like a double-edged sword because not everyone's journey is the same. So I'm like, and no one gave me any advice when I got in. So I kind of am like, you'll figure it out, you know, but at the same time, a couple things I always think are important are know your brand, which is know yourself, know what you want, what kind of content you want to make, what kind of performer you want to be, and stick to that. Don't let people sway you, you know, either way, because everyone's going to ask you to do everything. And you don't have to if you don't want to. And then to my second point is know how to negotiate before you get in. Know how to say, oh, you like my rate would be higher for that, or you know, I can't be on set this many hours or something like that. And I feel like a lot of times we might not feel empowered to do it, but you totally can.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Vanna? What's been what would be some of your best advice for newer performers that definitely look up to
I feel like I have
you?
So many, but I think one of the first lessons I learned was be very careful about the contracts you sign, especially with getting an agent. I think you definitely absolutely should get an agent when you're first getting into the industry. After a few years, it's not necessarily necessary, but definitely when you receive a contract, have somebody look it over and make sure that all those details are in your favor. because I've learned that lesson the hard way more than once.
Negotiate.
But besides that, I mean, I agree with like your brand is everything. It's, I don't know, going into the adult industry, like I had a very clear vision of what I wanted. I knew I wanted to, win awards and shoot for all these companies and directors. I already had a list. Like I did all of my research that I could. So I think really, if you're serious about doing this, like know what are your goals? Like what do you want to do and achieve? This way you can make smarter decisions for your career. And not letting anyone pressure you into feeling like you have to do something then, because if I did that, I would not be exactly where I am today. So I think taking your time as much as possible and like only doing something when you're like, fuck yeah, I want to do this.
Yeah. 100%.
I know of a few performers who sort of do annual strategic planning where they'll map out, okay, this is like my 5-year plan. And if I bring it back, this is what I want to focus on year 1, year 2. And obviously things can change along the way, but I've always thought that was, that's how businesses grow. That's how brands are successful. So you shouldn't look at yourself any different, right? And it gives you a framework by which to like set boundaries, hold negotiations, stay true to your values when you have that kind of clear picture on what you want to achieve. So very, very good advice. Speaking of what you choose to do in your careers, Vanna, you're coming off of quite a busy time.
Oh yeah.
Okay. As a like you swept the awards, a year or so ago. You had an amazing showcase with Vixen. You did your first ever DP and anal scene. You did it that year. You had a plan. It was clear that year there was a strategic plan in action that year.
Yeah.
So is there something like do you have anything else on your bucket list that you're looking to check off, or have you at this point done it all?
It is hard. I do feel like I've already done it all. Then after like winning Performer of the Year and out, because like in that year when I found out I was going to get a showcase, I was like, okay, this is like my one chance to really get this. And I was already thinking of like, oh, maybe I'll do also a blow bang for another side, and just doing every single thing possible with the goal in mind of like winning. But now that I've won, now I'm like, okay, now it's just like whatever I do, it's just going to be, something that I truly, truly want to do. And like absolutely love like my first anal, my first DP. That was amazing. But like at this point, probably wouldn't shoot a blow bang just because I'm like not crazy about it.
Yeah.
But I would love to shoot a gang bang one day. I don't know, this year or next year. Now I'm not so much like I have to be on a timeline. Now I'm really like whenever is a perfect moment, it's going to happen, which has worked out for me with everything else I've done. I'm glad I waited to do a lot of things like my first anal, and then the perfect, situation presented itself. So that's why I'm kind of waiting with my gangbang. I know I probably will do it one day, but I know.
Do you have the scenario in mind? Like what would be your dream gangbang?
That's hard. I mean, I do have like, it's hard because I have a list of guys I would love, but the tricky thing with gangbangs is that like, it's not about having all of your favorite guys. It's about having the guys who work together really well. And like, unfortunately, a lot of the guys I like aren't necessarily duos, let alone a gangbang. And I know whoever I ask will definitely do it for me because, but in terms of like the scene itself, I don't know. I want something that's dramatic. Like, I don't know if I necessarily want to just do a gonzo scene. I think I love to act, and I loved getting into porn because I did do theater as a kid. I went to performing arts middle school and high school. So
you were one of those kids.
Oh yes, yes. I started in theater and then transferred to dance.
Yeah,
but that's what I really liked about getting into porn is the theater of this.
Oh yeah.
I love a good gonzo scene. Don't get me wrong. There's something really like an art to it, absolutely. But I love getting to play dress up and being a character and like having a stage basically to do something creative and interesting. So I know for my gangbang, I want to do something a little bit more elaborate. Same thing as my showcase. It wasn't just a gonzo showcase. It was a whole story. And
well, that's one thing that I really like about what Caden does with the showcase movies over at Vixen is, showcases. It's funny because I often think about this, like adult time is, we have all kinds of content, but we're really rooted in narrative content. Like most of the stuff we're known for are story-based, series or movies. And showcases are one of those things that still like really matter when it comes to being able to like showcase a talent or get the Performer of the Year award. It pretty much needs to go hand in hand with like a showcase but it's something that like it is so typically gonzo or just like kind of pretty girl, like put you in costumes and then do these different sex scenes. And and so in a way I don't want to say like it's like a bit of an outdated format, but it's a little dusty, And so I appreciate that with some of the ways that they've looked at those showcase movies, like combining showcase with a movie and like with a narrative is cool.
Yeah, really making it like more of a feature. Yeah. Because I don't know, for me personally, like I love gonzo, but that's like not necessarily the kind of performer I'm categorized into. So yeah, for me, it just wouldn't have made sense. I don't think it would have been special because I'm not the kind of person who could do a bunch of crazy shit. While those performers, I'm like, fucking amazing. But yeah, I'm like, okay, if I can't do anything that crazy, let's
at least like give a good story. I can tell a good story and do some things.
You're pretty crazy though.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you think your stepdad would let us invite some boys over?
This isn't about my virginity, is it?
This is about something that couples do that would make us really close.
Lana?
No. I know it's your birthday, sweetie. I'm so sorry about this.
It's okay, Mom.
No, but turning 19 is supposed to be very special.
Christy and Chloe are supposed to be coming over, so.
Come on, don't worry about it, honey. Teenagers don't like hanging out with their mom on their birthday anyway. Besides, I'll look after them, keep them out of trouble. Son, we need to talk. Look, I know your father's not around, but I know your stepdad can give you some advice. I mean, if it's anything I know about, it's definitely women. Does she know you're into her?
I think so. Maybe?
Chloe's waiting for you to make the first move. You just gotta do it. You gotta be strategic. All right, ladies. I've got some special birthday surprises for you tonight.
Chloe, could I talk to you for a second?
Ethan.
Go see what Ethan wants.
What if there was a way for us to show each other affection without going against our beliefs?
What do you mean? Not acting very father-like.
Father-like?
Yeah.
I never said I wanted to be your dad.
I just don't like when you flirt with my friends, okay? It's disrespectful to me and to my mom.
I'm curious. Aren't you curious?
What happened? What's wrong?
We're just celebrating. It's your big day.
and Melissa, you've mentioned in the past that your content is more on the vanilla side.
Yeah, I think it was interesting when I started out in the industry. I was going to wait for the industry to tell me what they thought of me in terms of like what kind of shoots I was getting. Because when I first got in, my first agent was like, all right, you're over 25 and you have fake boobs, you're a MILF. And I was like, am I? Okay, like and those first few shoots I showed up on, which I was fine with, but I didn't see myself that way. So those first few shoots I showed up to, they were like, you don't look like a MILF. You don't act like a MILF. Like, what are you doing
That's
here?
what I said when we first shot together. I was like, what are you doing for this company?
Why are you? Yes, because it was a MILF shoot. She was like, wait, who's the MILF? I was like, obviously me, but still. It was so funny to get that reaction a few times. And I think sometimes it is applicable in the right scenario. I love a good MILF role, but that's not what the industry wanted me to be. It's not what the fans wanted me to be. And so I kind of did a little bit of like market research on that because that's my background. And like you were saying, I'm also not like a gonzo girly. I don't have kind of like the body type for it or maybe like the skill set for it. So I went, okay, well, what coincides the Venn diagram of like, what do people want to see from me and what do I like?
Yeah.
And it's vanilla. So I'm here for the people like good porn vanilla sex. It's like really hot and slutty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So vanilla doesn't have to be boring. I think that's become
there's
synonymous.
all kinds of flavors of vanilla.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So and I'm proud of that. Like I said, my content is not boring. The scenes that I do are not boring. They're really fun, but it doesn't have to be a circus.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
What's so I know that you both have. Well, now we have a helicopter. Los Angeles. I know that you guys have done some really cool work with Adult Time over the years, and different brands. If you were gonna shout out your favorite Adult Time project, what would it be?
I know. The one we shot recently where I got to dress like Lexi and I wore her bangs. She had fake bangs that day because she wanted her bangs to be perfect. So she's like, well, I have this clip-in to make my bangs more perfect. And I said, give me that. Because I was supposed to be like a somewhat of a lookalike. Yeah. And I think everybody looked at me. I was like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to put the bangs down. I was like, give me the bangs. And it was so fun. It was so fun to kind of like play dress up. And
that was for a Wicked Pictures feature called Breadcrumbs, where you were playing Seth and Lexi are a married couple kind of having some communication issues and both straying a little bit. And his character strays with picking up you on a kind of like Tinder type app. But you look eerily resemble his wife, and perhaps he just needs to. And then you tell him, you pat him on the back afterwards, and say, "You should probably just go talk to your wife." But you do know that now, like in my phone, it's the picture of you.
No,
because it's the picture I have.
Dang it! I knew I was never going to live that down.
No,
I loved it.
No, but that was it. And that was the first time we got to work together.
Yeah.
I
was like, she's going to think I'm really weird.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I was like, Psh, that's going in the photo collection.
Hi.
Hi. Are you gonna invite me in?
Oh yeah, come in.
Thanks.
Okay, let me get this.
Yeah.
And what about you, Vanna? You've done a ton of stuff with us over the years.
Yeah.
What stands out to you?
Definitely, I think the most recent one was probably Grinders. That was an awesome movie to be a part of. I think it was the first movie that Ricky won for directing. So I think that was a really special moment.
Yeah. And that was the first movie that he had done, I think, for us, because that was 2021. I don't know. It was like right after the pandemic. Maybe not. No, I think it was the sort of year after we had resumed shooting after the pandemic.
So I think I won in 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been 2 years before that. Yeah. And it was his first big project for us, and it won Movie of the Year that year, which was amazing. A great kind of like 90s inspired skateboarder flick. But from what my impressions from that project was that the cast bonded so much during that experience. And you could tell like it really came across on screen.
Hello! Slow your fucking roll speed, racer! What's in the bag?
Just some tapes I'm returning.
Man, what you need with all these spray cans? You huffing them or something?
Fuck you.
What'd you say? You know, when your mom kicked you out, I took you in to get you back on your feet, okay? I don't want you to get stuck here like me.
Is that Morgan Davis?
That is Morgan. Paul's sort of having this New Year's end of the world party.
Cool. Maybe I can come after?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, if you don't have anything else going on.
Seeing your shit all over the valley.
Oh, yeah? Thanks.
It's not a compliment. It's like putting up billboards advertising your crime.
Fuck you, old man.
Guess you have to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life now.
Come on, get in, you pussy!
I'm fucking naughty boy! I live forever!
I'm sorry, Lucky, but you need to leave.
I'm not leaving until Paul tells me.
You don't even know what you're about to pass out.
What happened?
It's my son trying to steal my shit.
I'm sorry.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Yeah, it feels like with each milestone, things should change, but they just stay the same.
That's the thing, Lucky. You can't just expect the world to change. You have to make a move.
You're ruining my fucking life, man! Oh God!
I would say besides that though, all of the pure taboos that I've done,
Yes.
those are, I remember my first time, I was only an extra for pure taboo, but I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. Because I'm trying to remember, it was, it was Kristen Scott, and then I'm trying to think, I think it was Nathan Bronson, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I was supposed to play her, like, I was her friend, and I think I was like jealous of her, or I don't remember what exactly, but
Did you get cucked?
No, I didn't get cucked. No, I didn't stick around for the sex.
But I'm sure you definitely did something very dubious.
Yeah, I think I like fucked her over in some way. I don't remember exactly, but I was so excited.
Okay, well, if you really want to know, so the other day I was with Jason. We were like hanging out at his house, and we were alone in his room. And Jason, he like kind of tried to get me to give him a blowjob.
No way. Did you do it?
No, of course not. Ew.
And then when I finally got my first like real pure taboo scene, I don't remember exactly what the story was, but I was just so excited because I was like, oh, this is one of those few places you can really put your acting to use, and get a little weird.
Get a little weird, yeah, absolutely. If you were gonna, so tell me, because I can always take ideas from podcast conversations and turn them into future scenes. So if you were gonna do a pure taboo, what would be like your dream pure taboo scenario?
That's hard because I've been trying to think of one to like actually propose, but I don't know. I'm really terrible at like coming up with scene ideas, but I feel like when I see a script, I'm like immediately like I play it in my head. Like when I'm reading a book, I can visualize it, and then
All right, so I'll think of something really juicy, and then we'll pitch it out.
I feel like the weirder the better for this one.
I'm trying to think of like
real crazy
pulling things from my own life that I could like apply.
Okay, well, here's the story.
People wouldn't believe you.
Here's something that just like lifting from real life, because I had a conversation with my wife about this week. So I don't know. She reads these.
That's what I was gonna say. BookTok.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, so she reads these insane books.
Insane.
Right. Okay.
Me too. Oh boy.
Like, and then she'll tell me
throw
in
them
detail.
away because I don't want people to see that I read that in my house. I can't donate it. Like it goes straight to the trash.
So the one she's reading right now involves werewolves and a like breeding clinic. Yeah, you all know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And the
so embarrassing.
And the character.
I can't believe you're ratting her out like this.
No, she's proud of it.
Oh, okay.
No,
cool.
she's gonna appreciate this shout out. But the women go into heat.
I love it.
And she's like, you got to do that. You got to make that an episode.
Honestly, yeah, I've been reading quite a few of like the spicy book talks, and
now it comes.
And
out.
I'm like, oh fuck, like, because I don't know, like. The classic one was like 50 Shades of Grey, and then made that into a movie, and it was like, oh, it's okay. But like the books that I'm reading, I'm like, okay, there's no way this could ever be made into a mainstream movie. But I'm like, perhaps for porn, because some of the scenes I'm like, I don't know where they're coming up with this shit, but it's really fucking hot. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this, the way the scene is described. So
yeah, it's like sort of these hybrid fantasy, like, but also all like breeding and no, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, it's yeah.
But we have like
a smile on my face now.
we have like morning meetings because with kids and stuff, after 6:30 you can't talk to your partner anymore. So we always have these like first thing in the morning meetings, and she's always telling me the plot of the chapter she read the night before. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear this at 5:36 in the morning.
Whoa.
She's like, no, but listen. So,
But he loves her.
He does.
That's why he breeds her.
And she tries to tell me like, no, it's like, I would like it if they were all human. Like it would be same. Like, no, you would not. No, you would not. It's clearly because she's a werewolf. All right. Well, this is a great segue into some rapid fire questions to end today's interview, because I don't even know. If we were talking about werewolves, I don't even know where we're going to go with these.
Yeah, no.
But no, they're
it's
probably
downhill from here.
It's all downhill from here. Okay, so today was fantastic as a duo scene. But if you were going to pull a third into today's scene,
call Cody.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean that's on the go-to.
We love him.
Good. So please explain for those living under a rock who don't know, why would you invite Cody? Why would Cody be your third?
I don't.
Well, Cody is an amazing male performer in the industry.
Yes.
He's also my fiance now.
Yes,
So.
yes.
And we've had sex all together, and we already know it's a great time.
Great time. Well, we love Cody as well at Out of Time, so he is
If you
welcome
could pick
anytime.
any other guy, though.
Any
who?
other guy? Oh, you know, I really like Victor Ray too.
I haven't worked with him. Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Boots, baby.
He was an extra in my movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cute.
great.
It is interesting though, because sometimes I'll be like, ooh, this guy with a girl, and she's like, ugh.
Yeah, I know. It's
and then
this is
she'll
always
be
a
like,
risky
oh, but this
question
guy,
to
and I'm
ask.
like, ugh.
You asked.
I asked. Yeah, I asked. I figured we'd find some.
Yeah.
I figured it might.
We can both
yeah.
agree on
We
Wait,
can
but
both
who would
agree.
you put? Okay, so Cody is like a given. right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I said, who would you say?
I don't know. I mean, like,
Shot in the dark.
my favorites are obviously like Seth Gamble is incredible.
Oh, duh, yeah.
Love Zach Wilde. I love like, Mick Blue and those are all classics.
So all the classics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much anybody can
Yeah.
join at this point.
There you go.
Hop on in.
Here's one. What is one thing that will always make you orgasm? Let me see if I can guess the answer.
A vibrator.
I was gonna say Hitachi.
You meant like in sex, like.
Well, I mean,
what-
I would hope it was in some
was
kind of
like,
sexual situation. Just maybe like, not
oh,
just
like
out
what
in the
kind of
street.
scenario always makes me. Ooh, this is so crazy, but like to keep like focused, like if I want to come really fast, I think about a time I had really rough sex because that was very intense. I think intense situations definitely turned me on.
Yeah, so that's going to be like in your spank bank. That's like the go-to is going back to that memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of actual physical tools, the Hitachi is, I mean, you can't beat that unless you've already like outdone yourself too much and you just like fried off your nerves.
Yeah.
Then, but yeah, in terms of like, I really need to get there in the moment. Yeah, I think it's like going back to spank bank moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of firsts are in my spank bank too.
Yeah.
Like the first time I did this, the first time I did that. So
It would be kind of interesting to do like a series that was like a spank bank confessionals, right? Like what is, because everybody's got their thing.
Yeah.
And it's always very specific.
Yep.
And if people were willing to be like candid about it, and
I think
you
it would have to be
recreate it-
anonymous. I could tell you some really toe curling shit. But
Well,
it would
I now
only
know
be
you like the
anonymous.
spicy book talk, so that just
Yeah,
changed
how's
everything.
that?
I know what's in your spank bank.
Yeah, crap.
What do you okay, having been in porn, having been in a bunch of pornos, can you watch porn anymore?
Kind of. I think I cannot watch my friends. I cannot watch somebody I've had sex with. I can't watch some companies I've shot for because I know their production role. I'm like, oh, there's a cut.
Yeah.
It's like I can't. So I think a lot of like the top of the line, but also amateur creators kind of do it for me now because, there's that authenticity is really great. But I definitely can't watch myself. That is, I don't know. But a lot of people can.
Yeah.
Like that gets them there. And I'm like, oh, I pick myself apart too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I definitely can't watch porn at all now. I used to be able to watch like, I don't know, amateur, like very like not old porn, but like porn, whatever it was like before my, generation that I got into. But now it's just like, if I start watching porn, I'm just like too interested in like the other things. I'm like, oh, I know that set, or like I know that crew. Like I know everything that's happening behind the scenes. And then now, I just know everybody in the scenes. So I don't really watch it anymore unless it's like for research purposes. But I was for a while listening to JOI for women.
Yeah.
There was this one guy, I forget his name, but he did really, really good JOIs, which is perfect because like men are very visual, but I feel like for women, like the JOI is so good. You just close your eyes and you have somebody like in your ear. And I really liked that for a while. But now I just, I revert to my
spank bank.
My spank
Yeah,
bank.
spank bank. Yeah. What is your go-to dirty talk line? And if you know it, if you feel like you got it, look into your camera and deliver it, please, while we all blush and
oh Jesus,
avert our eyes.
So I'll tell you one that happened to me the other day, and this is the opposite of what you want.
Yeah. This never works out. This question never results, except for that one person that just like nails it.
So I think it's like it's very unprofessional to try to have an emotional connection with your partner. So you try, or your co-star. So you try to like avoid that type of language. And I forgot. I was just really into it. I don't know. So I looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, do you love it? Tell me you love it. Tell me you love me. And then I immediately like turned away from the camera and was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think in the real world, that would work.
Yeah, the real world, that'd be super hot. Yeah. On set, that's kind of like,
I'm not very clutch.
That's not even the character you're playing.
Yeah. Do you love me? He's like, no. Right. Got it.
Very good. That was a good submission, though. I like that. What about you, Vanna? What's in your Rolodex for dirty talk?
I think it's funny because I'm not a big dirty talker, but I'm like, I need to learn how to dirty talk for porn. So I would like watch scenes of girls who are really good at dirty talking, and then just like, I just have like a memory loop of like lines I run through. But my favorite one that I actually do say in my personal life now is, I want you to use my pussy like it's your toy.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Who would you herald as a great dirty talker?
Ooh, Adriana Chechik.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Angela White.
Yeah, Angela White for sure.
Cherie DeVille, man, she could just, you could turn that, you could turn the camera on and she would talk for 45 minutes about like whatever.
And you'd be into it.
And you'd be into it.
I would get distracted. Yeah. I would be like, what do we need from the store? Oh, I mean, how's your dick?
Yeah.
You know?
See, I like, the reason why I have to like pre-memorize things is because since I'm not a natural dirty talker, if I try coming up with something creative, I will say things like backwards or like things around, and I'm like, oh, you like my big pussy on your little dick, and I'll just say something so stupid like that, and I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah. No, one time because like when you run out of things to say, I decided the best dirty talk was to narrate what you're doing. So you like when I ride you like that. I love it when you look into my eyes, like just saying what you're doing. But I did that one time with a civilian, and he looked at me and goes, I love the play-by-play. And I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. I'm done. I'm talking too much.
I mean, I find that like dirty talk is like the second you become self-aware of what's coming out of your mouth. It's for me. I mean, you're both dancers, so you have that confidence. For me, like if I'm ever dancing and then I suddenly picture like what I look like. And the second I try to say something, it just sounds horrific.
Yeah.
Well, we could keep talking forever.
Yeah.
But you all already had a lot of energy expended today. And it was great to have you here to have sex on this set, to come back and have a great conversation on this set. It was a pleasure.